Welcome to another episode of Touring the AFC South. I'm your host, Mike Patton. And on this episode, we will be talking Titans with Turron Davenport from ESPN. What's going on, man?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Doing great, doing great. Let's see. How are you doing, man?
Hey, man, life is good, man. We got football on the TV. We talking shop and good things, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Of course, we're going to get into the Titans, talk about, the lead up to last week, the game last week, and of course, the game this week versus the New York Football Jets. We're going to do that in a second, but up first, of course, we have to get off your chest segment like we do with every episode. In this episode, of course, we want to pay a little tribute to Frankie Beverly. Now, for all that don't know who he is, I don't know how you wouldn't know who he is, but the songs with Maze featuring Frankie Beverly, and it's very important that you say Maze featuring Frankie Beverly and not Maze and Frankie Beverly or any other iteration, because that's how the setup was. It's We Are One, Before I Let Go, Back in Stride, Joy and Pain. Those songs right there, timeless songs that are still to this day played at barbecues, picnics, wherever you want to talk about, play that. They're definitely still played there. Frankie Beverly will forever still be living through those songs. Rest in paradise, Mr. Frankie Beverly. Philadelphia native, or I know a lot of Philadelphians have definitely talked about him since his passing, and rest in paradise to Frankie Beverly. You got anything you want to throw in there, Teron?
Yeah, no, he used to do shows, Hunting Park, man. Frankie Beverly, that song. Actually, the Titans played that song on Thursday at practice when they first opened up Team Stretch, and man, that's the family reunion anthem, the cookout anthem, all that, the barbecue anthem. That's it right there.
Yes, sir. Definitely, man. He will be missed, but the music will still be here. My condolences to his family and everyone there. But of course, we did come here to talk some football, and that we did come to talk some Tennessee Titans. Now, I want to kind of go back just a little bit before the game last week with the Bears. Of course, what was the feeling kind of leading up into that game that you got when you were out there at practice, watching them, prepare for the Chicago Bears?
Yeah, it was a lot of excitement, the newness and everything like that. This obviously is a new coaching staff. There's an abundance of new players. So it was just really guys just looking forward to being able to unwrap that present. And the focus was on getting off to a good start. And you could tell that was the focus because that's what they did. But somewhere along the line, they forgot to focus on finishing the game, at least on two sides of the football. And it just kind of is what it is, right? But it was upbeat. Guys were excited, and the anticipation was very large.
Okay, as far as the Titans in terms of the feeling in the locker room, what was it kind of like in terms of maybe before the game or just on the field before the game, and as opposed to like after the game, and the feelings after that?
Yeah, well, we definitely weren't. We're not in the locker room before the game.
Right.
On the field, again, it was still just that anticipation, the excitement. Guys were just happy to finally be in the regular season. Now, after the game, obviously, after losing, it's a different feeling. They understood that they let one go. They wanted to make sure that there wasn't any finger pointing. They wanted to make sure that they looked at the areas for improvement. Take the defense, for example. They said Jeffrey Simmons especially said they got to turn the football over. Offensively, obviously, Will Levis was not happy with that boneheaded play, as he called it. So there were different things, special teams wise, that wasn't really something that we addressed after the game, but it is something that was talked about this week. And it was two different feelings, right? The excitement and anticipation rolled into disappointment. And there still was anticipation, though, because guys were ready to flush it down the toilet and move on to this Jets game.
Right. So, you hold a different perspective than maybe a lot of people in terms of watching that game because you were in the press box watching the game. So what was kind of the feeling just about, people that were covering the game, at halftime, as opposed to third quarter when the momentum started to swing? What was that kind of feeling going through the press box? Was there any kind of swing of feeling there?
Yeah, I mean, you remain objective, right? So you don't really have a feeling one way or the other. I was curious how they were going to be able to duplicate or get close to what they did before. This is a team that they hadn't scored 30 points in over 2 seasons, right? So I was wondering if there was a way that they were going to do that. I felt that they were impressive for the most part in the first half. There were some areas to clean up. Yeah, he had to that was 66 yards, right? And that obviously set up the field goal to make it 17-3. But I was just curious to see if there was a point where the Bears were going to be able to make some plays on offense. Here it was on different sides of the ball, but I thought at some point they were going to make some plays on offense and make it close.
Got you. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I had a few more questions about that Chicago Bears game before we move on to the Jets. You're watching Touring the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton.
EBO Beard Butter and EBO Beard Wash are two of the best beard grooming products for men worldwide. They help promote growth, keep your beard moisturized and soft, and enhance your overall upkeep of your facial hair. And with the new promo code MPAFC10, you can get 10% off all these products. Just go to www.etsy.com/shop/EBO Beard Butter. Again, that's www.etsy.com/shop/EBO Beard Butter. And again, the promo code MPAFC10. Again, MPAFC10, where you can get 10% off any products except for beard boxes. So treat your beard better today by going to get these the EBO Beard Butter and EBO Beard Wash.
All right, we are back on Touring the AFC South. And like I mentioned before the commercial break, I did have a few other questions just about the game. Of course, have a 17-3 lead, and then you lose the lead. To me, one of the biggest plays that happened in that was the block punt. I mean, for those that didn't watch the game or are not aware of what happened, of course, the Titans going to punt the football. Bears block it. Jonathan Owens, yes, the husband of Simone Biles, goes in for a touchdown. And it just seemed like the crowd was pumped up. The team was pumped up, the Bear being the Bears. And it just seemed like that momentum carried them through the rest of the game. I mean, just how huge was that block punt in that game?
Yeah, well, of course, that was huge. And momentum is something that is real and it shifted, and that made the score 17-10. Pulling within one score, it just has a way of giving the whole stadium hope. And Soldier Field, it came alive after that. And that's when you start to really see things start to shift in the favor of the Bears. And, the play, there was another play, the strip sack, and then, you had the pick six, and all those were preluded by that block punt. Great job beating Jack Gibbons and getting in there and blocking the punt. And Jonathan Owens with the scoop and score.
Right. So, you mentioned earlier about the offense or the defense, not playing the blame game and things like that. I know Jonathan Simmons and I know Kenneth Murray were two key guys talked about that. They were impressive defensively, in my opinion. What would you say was the most impressive thing about that defense on that Sunday against the Bears, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, Jeffrey Simmons lining up next to Devondre Sweat. I think Sweat was the most impressive part to me, and just how he showed not only is he a guy that can sit there and two gap, but he is someone that will get in the backfield. That quick arm over move that he used to get in the backfield, redirect Swift, and McCreary came in and cleaned it up for a tackle for loss. Those are the plays that you should come to expect from Devondre Sweat. He isn't just some big guy that's just massive. He has footwork. He was a outstanding basketball player in high school, and he has that footwork that he got from that. And he is someone that the endurance is there. In fact, Denard Wilson said that he could have played more snaps, but they did have the rotation. Or actually, I want to, yeah, Denard Wilson said they could have played more snaps, but they have the rotation going with the other defensive linemen, to keep everybody fresh. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that 35 or 36 snap count go up to 45 to into 50, and you see him be able to be still an effective player. And oh, by the way, they dropped him back into coverage. That time where Ernest Jones, he ran over the center and he jumped up and he knocked the ball in the air to force the field goal. This was after the kick return, right? He knocked the ball in the air and Tavondre Sweat was backpedaling. He and Simmons, they both backpedaled out of those gaps that they were in. I believe it's called a spider blitz. That's the football term for it. So they backpedaled into that hook curl zone, and Sweat was almost able to get it, but you get 340, 350 pounds going one way, it's hard to redirect it and get it to go the opposite.
That's right. That's right. I saw him dropping out. I was like, man, they really are bringing out all the stops on this one. Got Devontae Sweat. I saw that and I was like, wow, okay, he's definitely into this game and in tune. And I would say I was very impressed by his play. I don't know if I'm down with the Meatloaf nickname, but hey, that's what he likes to be called, nickname as opposed to T-Pain. So hey, I ain't mad at it. So, but yeah, it definitely was an impressive game defensively. Offensively, of course, the big play. Will Levis trying to get rid of the football, underhands it or whatever he does, throws the football. Chicago Bears pick it off, run it back for a touchdown, and that basically gives them the win in that game. Now, I mean, he gave a good talk after the game and said it was a bonehead mistake and things like that, or stuff like that. But do you think it was kind of maybe leading up to that moment of him trying to do too much with kind of pressing with seeing the momentum that the Bears were building up?
No, it just was in heat of the moment. I mean, he was trying to avoid getting sacked. He didn't weigh the pros and cons. I mean, you look at the pros of that play. Okay, it's a 2-yard catch. Guess what? You're still punting. So you look at the cons. Well, you saw the exact con of it. So I think it's one of those situations where he just wasn't thinking. It was playing hero ball. And sometimes you got to understand that the other guys on the team are just as good as you and some even better. So let them go ahead and carry you to victory. You don't always have to be the one riding the horse with the sword up and the shield, right? Leading the guys to the win.
Exactly. Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting just to watch how he kind of evolves into a guy that's, a part of the team and doesn't feel like he has to be the hero at times, because he definitely has the tools to do different things, but does he have to do it every time? And that is the biggest thing that we're going to be watching. But kind of going over a little bit more to the Jets, kind of moving as I guess like the players would do, flush that one and keep moving. It's a Titans season opener, home opener against the New York Jets. The New York Jets, who lost to the San Francisco 49ers and basically had Jordan Mason running all over him, which Jordan Mason is a Middle Tennessee native, by the way. Had them running all over them in their win. So going into this game, I mean, how, is there some sense of, urgency in terms of you don't want to go 0-2 to start the season because of percentages, or is it just, hey, we just want to win a game, or we're playing at home? That energy around the team.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there's a sense of urgency. You only get 17 games, so you're going to have that each and every week. And it's one of those things where they want to come out, they want to feed off of the home crowd, and they want to put a good performance forward. And that's what should be expected of them. They want to right some of the wrongs and just be a much more productive overall team, not just defense, but offense and special teams too.
Right. And then, of course, offensively, the mistakes were there and things like that. But one player that was a bright spot, especially in the first half, was Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard was getting it done on the ground, scored his first touchdown as a Tennessee Titan from 26 yards out, I believe. In looking at the 49ers tape versus the Jets, I'm pretty sure he's probably going to be licking his chops just a little bit based off of what they did in the first half and what the 49ers did to the Jets during the entire game?
Well, I mean, you got different schemes. The Titans like to use more of a gap scheme. So those guys up front, they're going to have to be moving people. And it actually works in the Titans' favor where you have Peter Skoronski, you have Jason Latham, Petit Ferrer, Dylan Reyes. These guys are all they're better run blockers than they are pass blockers. I think Lloyd Cushenberry is good at both, but I think that works for the Titans' favor. If I'm Tony Pollard, yeah, I'm definitely looking at it okay, there's going to be opportunities to run the football, but you also have to remember this is a Jets team that was a top-level defense last year. And this is a 49ers team that their scheme is proven to have worked. And it's almost like you could plug and play most running backs in there and you're going to get production. So you have to weigh that out and understand that. But I do think they're going to run the football, and they need to run the football, frankly, because I don't feel that Will Levis is ready to have that 35 to 40 pass game and be expected to do that and win the game that way.
Yeah, and also offensively, like you mentioned, Will Levis not necessarily ready for that, but of course he is going to have to pass the football at some point in the game. And DeAndre Hopkins wasn't necessarily available as much as he would normally be in the first game with, still nursing the knee. I'm, seeing where he's been at practices and he's been out there. So I'm suspecting that he's probably going to be out there a little bit more on the field and more active in the game plan. So if that's the case, then, do you expect him to be just a little bit more of demanding of the football, or just be a more available for Will Levis to kind of make things a little bit more comfortable for him on the field?
Yeah, he's going to be available. Now, he's not really one to throw a tantrum and demand the ball and do those types of things. I'm sure he'll let Levis know when he's open and when he feels that, an opportunity was missed. But for the most part, just having him out there is it's an added bonus for Levis, because we know that typically he wants to go to Hopkins. That's the guy that he trusts as his safety net. And you always want that. And so, yeah, Hopkins, he wasn't listed on the injury report this week, Wednesday, Thursday. So that's a plus. We'll see what happens tomorrow. He said that he's fine, right? And you get into the sprain versus the tear and all of that. The bottom line is he feels that he could play. He experienced an actual tear of the MCL before. He referenced that. And, he said that it required surgery. This issue that he's dealing with doesn't. And he's ready to go. He says he feels good. That's been his stock answer.
Now, as far as Sauce Gardner, do you expect him to see more action against DeAndre Hopkins or against Calvin Ridley in this game?
I don't know if they're going to have him travel or not. I mean, it's not something they've been doing. Well, they didn't do it last week. Sauce Gardner is a guy, a lot of times he plays sides. He plays that boundary side, so that way those attempts, that his way he could maximize them and try to turn the football over. So we'll see. I don't believe that he's going to travel, but that still remains to be seen.
Gotcha. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I'm going to flip it over to the defensive side of the ball, talk a little bit more defense for the Tennessee Titans versus Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets offense on Touring the AFC South.
A shift. A shift is something that happens and changes the dynamics. And that's what happened when Garrett Logistics was born. After 10 years as a sales pro in the logistics world of sporting goods, John Garrett decided to pivot to the world of freight and start a brokerage. So you're saying to yourself, why trust Garrett Logistics? Well, Garrett Logistics helps shippers improve overall workflow, along with increased on-time pickup and delivery percentages. Last-minute loads, multi-drop pickups, and more are part of the services with Garrett Logistics. They're available Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., all times Central Standard Time. So give them a ring at 615-400-8484. That's 615-400-8484, or you can email them at john@garrettlogistics.co or visit their website at garrettlogistics.co. Garrett Logistics, where the motto is, it's not just freight to us, it's your business.
All right, and we are back on Touring the AFC South. We did have someone show up a couple people show up in the Touring the AFC South inbox. We got the Not Blend show saying, "What up, fellas?" And we got Matthew Maddox saying Turron, and of course he's throwing his hands up.
What's up, Matthew?
So yeah, back to the show. Of course, we got to flip it over to the defensive side of the ball. And to me, I thought L'Jarius Sneed was very, very impressive. But in reading his comments, he wasn't very impressed with his play. So going into this game, you've got Garrett Wilson out there. So what do you expect him to do to even be more impressive, even though he only gave up one catch versus the Jets?
He actually gave up 2 catches. It was 18
catches.
yards. He told me he felt like he played like SHIT. And you got to kind of see where he's coming from. He holds himself to a standard. He said he didn't want to give up any catches, but you look at the catches. One of those 2 was for a first down, and it was on 4th down, right? So that is an issue. And I believe the 3rd down one, the one that Keenan Allen, was for a first down also. In fact, it was on the left-hand side going that way, and that was a 5-yarder. So you do have that. I think this week it's still just in talking to him. He said it's a trust issue, just from not being out there as much. The communication, they had some issues on the back end, but he said that there is just a matter of him getting that trust from Denard Wilson to be tasked with traveling. Denard Wilson talked about playing the field with Chidobe Awuzie and having Snead play the boundary. The field was like to get him away from those one-on-one matchups and just give him more space to operate while he gets his legs under him as far as Awuzie is concerned. So I don't know if they'll travel. I don't know. I mean, this is a week, if any, where I would do it because Garrett Wilson, you have Wilson and then Lazard and the rest of the receiving options. Mike Williams, is very inconsistent, but it's very clear that Garrett Wilson is their best guy. So you do want your best on best. And that's what we drew up actually in Whiteboard Wednesday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. See, I've been peeping, man. So yeah, I was like, let me go and weave this in. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So of course, the Jets, they're gonna have to deal with the big guys inside and Sweat and Simmons.
Yeah.
I mean, the Jets tried to upgrade their offensive line, but still they were having issues with the guys the 49ers had who, I would say are not quite as big as the guys that the Titans have. So do you expect them to even be able to run the football? Or if they are, would you expect them to try to hit the edges more than try to come right at them?
Yeah, and again, it's not just the size. Like these guys are agile, so they can move sideline to sideline, like horizontally. So that makes it harder to run against them. I think it's going to be tough. Any team, honestly, is going to have a tough road ahead of them if they want to run the football against the Titans. So I think it's going to be tough for Breece Hall and that offensive line to get things going. And that's something that the Titans pride themselves on. They want to make sure that they stop the run. So this week is going to be no different.
Got you. Just, I guess, want to acknowledge a couple more comments as well. Of course, we have Corey jumping in saying Whiteboard Wednesday. Yep, definitely Whiteboard Wednesday. And then, of course, I got my guy out there in Cali, Sports for You, Jonathan, out there in Cali saying yo. But, of course, I did have one other thing I wanted to bring up as well. The linebacker play. I mean, I was curious to see how many plays Ernest Jones IV would play. I knew him and Kenneth Murray eventually will be the pairing in there. So what did you think of just the play of Ernest Jones in there and Kenneth Murray?
Yeah, I mean, when asked to make a play, he did, right? They sent him on blitzes. He's a downhill player. He showed how violent he could be, right, by running through that center and matching hands with Caleb Williams and knocking the ball in the air. That's exactly what you want from your blitzing linebacker. So you do have that. Kenneth Murray, I think he had like 7 or so tackles, but you saw him around the football a lot. Would like to see him be able to out muscle or out post Rome Odunze for that pass that Quandre Diggs came up and punched in the air so well, right? The Caleb Williams to DJ Moore pass. But I mean, overall, I think you should be happy with the linebacker play. Well, not happy, but you should feel that they played decent. But there's still a level that could be adjusted to as far as where this defense feels they want to be, and that's one of the top defenses in the league. So those guys, they got to help out as far as creating those turnovers. That's the big thing, and that's what you're going to hear over and over and over and over and over again as this team continues to work in that direction. Denard Wilson was brought in for that. His Ravens secondary had 18 interceptions last year. That was tied for the third most, or second most rather. And then his secondary in Philly in 2022 had 17, which was tied for third most.
Yeah, definitely. I remember watching that play, and when he punched it up, and I kept sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, he's gonna jump one day and go try to grab that ball. And it seemed like, to me, it just looked like he was kind of stretching and didn't really go up and jump and get it. And then Romaduzzi comes up and just jumps and got it, and jumps and gets it. And I was like, okay. I just was kind of trying to figure out. I was like, why didn't he jump and get that one, or was that just me kind of thinking about that and thinking about,
Well, I
I
don't
guess,
think he
things I would do?
located it. I think that was the issue. He didn't
Okay.
locate it until late.
Got you. Yeah, I was trying to figure it out, but yeah, that makes sense. Well, it's going to be an interesting game. Of course, we did that whole entire thing, and we didn't really even talk about Aaron Rodgers, which was funny. But definitely is going to be interesting to see if he tries to get them on a hard count as well, to get one of those free plays like he did against the 49ers as well. It's also going to be interesting to see how mobile he is. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone knows about his Achilles and things like that. But, we saw Kirk Cousins, he wasn't very mobile, but we also saw where Aaron Rodgers was still, somewhat mobile, but he wasn't necessarily moving around like he normally would back there. I mean, do you expect him to kind of stay steady in the pocket, or to try to maybe exert himself just a little bit more back there?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to play ball. He's from that surgery. That's not something I would even bring into the equation. They're going to boot him. You're going to have to, honestly, because you have to get him out of that pocket that's collapsing from the interior. So I would expect to see him move. And you, as the Titans, you want to get him off his platform. You want to get him off his block and make him have to make some plays on the run. Because, I mean, he's not the same Aaron Rodgers as he was before when it comes to doing that.
That's true. All right. Now, of course, we have reached the end of the show. I just want to thank you for coming on. And then also, of course, hopefully everyone enjoys the Jets versus the Titans. I mean, honestly, I'm interested to see how that goes. You have two teams that are fighting not to be 0-2. And 0-2 in the NFL, it isn't a death sentence, but it is a tough hill to come back from, or climb back up, I should say, when, of course, you only have 17 games to play. But of course, we have reached the end of the show, but not always all the end of the show. We do have a game. It's 5 questions, 2 answers, and 1 choice. Are you ready? All right. We got 2 Busta Rhymes songs. We got Woo-Ha, Got You All in Chick, or Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See. Which one are you going with, Busta Rhymes?
I like Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See. That bass line is hard in that. That's tough. I'll go with that.
Yeah, it is a tough one. That is true. Okay, we're going back to the 90s. A couple movies in the 90s. White Man Can't Jump or South Central. Which movie would you pick to watch?
Yeah, I'll go with South Central was tough though. I'll go with White Man Can't Jump. I like Rosie Perez.
Yeah, I hear you there. Man, the funniest part, the best line in the movie to me, Kadeem Hardison. We going Sizzler. We going Sizzler. Yeah. I still remember that line, man, from all these years. But let's see. You've got to pick one wide receiver, Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson. Which one are you taking?
Man, I like 30 yards after catch receivers. I'm gonna go with Jamar Chase. But man, the routes that's tough. Yeah, I'll go with Chase.
All right. Now we've got 2 corners. We got Patrick Surtain or Sauce Gardner. Which corner would you start with?
I like Sauce because he talks that talk too. I like guys that talk, man. And Sauce. Give me Sauce, man.
Okay. All right. Now we're gonna go with female MCs. MC Light or Queen Latifah? Which one are you taking?
I'm going with MC Light, man. Paper Thin was one of my favorite tracks. So that and
All
Georgia,
right.
MC Light.
All right. We did have some comments in the Touring the AFC South inbox. Of course, some picked Chase. Jamar Chase. We got one that did pick Gardner with you. And then, of course, some people wanted to go with South Central wanted to go with South Central, I'm sorry, over White Man Can't Jump. And I'm like, I'm with you on that one. I think I'm going Rosie Perez.
It's close. Either
Yeah.
one.
And then, of course, we had another MC Light, which, it's Lyte, not Lite, folks. We got to get that right. Can't mess up a legend's name. But that is 5 questions, 2 answers to 1 choice. You're off the hot seat, and we have reached the end of the show. Turron, thank you for your time. If you can, tell everyone where they can find you on social media and where they can find your work.
Yeah, at T Davenport _NFL. Go to ESPN.com, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, search Talking with TD. And yeah, that's it.
And I will say, folks, if you have not listened to Talking with TD, you get the intricate details. You get the player information. Of course, you get Chris Sanders, the old fish-eye fool. Is that what you call him?
Yeah.
And then, you definitely get the jokes, of course. Did you call him Mario Ellie one time?
Yeah, Mario Ellie, Tyrone Hill. Every week it's.
Oh man, it's hilarious, man. It's hilarious, but it's also informative. And then also you bring on someone from that covers the opposing team for the Titans, man. So I would say this: it's one of the best podcast shows out there. If you're not watching it, I need you to tune in. Even if you're not a Titans fan, you're going to gain something from it, some knowledge from it, something. Just had to say that because I'm like, man, look, you have influenced me in terms of how I do my show. So I've got to definitely, pay homage to you.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Yeah, keep doing great things.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. And of course, everyone, you can find me on the artist formerly known as Twitter at MikePatton82. That's MikePatton82 on the artist formerly known as Twitter. Word to Prince. And of course, you can find me on Instagram and Threads at that's THA, not THE, _general_MP. Touring the AFC South, you can find on all listing platforms, whether Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and you can find it on YouTube as well. I want to thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Touring the AFC South. We're out. Peace.